Naval Operations Report, Sector 7G Deep Survey. Date, 0347 hours, October 15th. Reporting Officer, Petty Officer First Class Isolde Finch, Sonar Specialist. Station, Pacific Fleet Submarine Base Kilo 7. Standard Deep Ocean Sweep commenced at 0200 hours per Operational Directive 7741, C. Sonar Array Configuration Optimal, weather conditions favorable with minimal surface interference. Water temperature holding steady at 38.2 degrees Fahrenheit at operational depth markers. All detection equipment functioning within normal parameters. Bennett Crow logged the overnight equipment inventory at 0130 hours. Supply manifest indicates full complement of standard detection gear, emergency backup sonar units, and maintenance equipment for the next quarterly cycle. Notable addition, 3 experimental deep-sea detection packages arrived yesterday, marked priority but unscheduled. Bennett noted the manifest discrepancy, but classification levels prevent inquiry. Equipment secured in Bay 7, pending further instruction. Sonar Sweep Pattern Alpha 7 initiated at bearing 247 degrees, scanning depths 8,000 to 15,000 feet. Ocean floor topology matching survey charts from previous operations. Standard biological signatures detected. Whale pod at 2,000 feet, traveling northwest at approximately 4 knots. Deep current thermal layers consistent with seasonal patterns. Bottom composition showing expected sediment density for this sector. Mavis Thorne completed the dawn security rotation check at 0300 hours. Base perimeter secure, all communication arrays functional. Standard patrol schedule maintained with USS Meridian reporting position 340 miles northeast, conducting parallel survey operations. Radio check with coastal installations complete, all stations reporting normal operational status. Security protocols current, no anomalies detected in base access logs or perimeter monitoring systems. At 0315 hours, routine depth scanning detected geological formation at 12,847 feet, bearing 251 degrees. Formation appears consistent with volcanic rock outcropping, approximately 800 meters in length. Structure shows irregular surface topology, possibly weathered basalt consistent with deep ocean floor composition. Thermal signature slightly elevated compared to surrounding ocean floor. Temperature differential 2.3 degrees above baseline. Tate Marlowe monitoring communications traffic reports standard naval operation chatter across Pacific Fleet channels. Weather advisory for Sector 9B indicates storm system moving northeast. Expected to clear operational area by 1400 hours. No emergency broadcasts, no priority traffic requiring immediate attention. Communication equipment tested and calibrated within the last 72 hours. All systems showing green status indicators. Continued sonar analysis of the geological formation reveals internal structure inconsistent with typical volcanic rock. Acoustic signature suggests hollow chambers or cavities within the formation. Sound reflection patterns indicate possible organic compounds mixed with geological materials. This combination appears unusual for deep ocean volcanic formations at this depth and location. Ivy Lennox completed routine maintenance on the primary sonar array at 0245 hours. All acoustic sensors calibrated and showing optimal sensitivity ranges. Backup detection systems tested and operational. The experimental deep-sea equipment from yesterday's delivery shows advanced sensitivity capabilities, specifically designed for biological detection at extreme depths. Technical specifications indicate frequency ranges beyond standard naval equipment. Bennett's supply log indicates the base maintains sufficient resources for standard operations through the next 6 weeks. Food stores adequate, fuel reserves at 78% capacity, emergency backup power systems tested weekly. The unusual equipment delivery yesterday included specialized power cells designed for extended deep ocean operations. Manifest shows requisition approval from Pacific Fleet Command, priority classification Alpha 7. Thermal readings from the geological formation continue showing temperature elevation. Current differential now 2.7 degrees above surrounding ocean floor temperature. Thermal pattern appears to pulse in regular intervals, approximately every 47 minutes. This thermal activity suggests possible geothermal venting, though no sulfur compounds detected in water samples from previous surveys of this sector. Mavis reviewed operational protocols for anomalous geological discoveries. Standard procedure requires detailed documentation, sample collection when feasible, and regular monitoring for changes in formation structure or thermal output. Deep Ocean Survey Protocol 77 Delta specifies extended observation periods for any formation showing thermal activity or unusual acoustic signatures. At 0330 hours, secondary sonar sweep detected movement patterns near the geological formation. Acoustic signatures consistent with deep ocean current flows, though direction appears contrary to established current maps for this depth and location. Water movement suggests possible venting or cavity drainage from within the formation itself. Tate logged standard communication with Pacific Fleet operations confirming base status and operational parameters. All systems reporting normal function, no priority messages requiring immediate attention. Weather conditions remaining favorable for continued deep ocean survey operations. Next scheduled check-in with fleet operations at 0800 hours. The geological formation's acoustic signature continues showing internal structure characteristics inconsistent with solid volcanic rock. Sound penetration analysis suggests multiple chamber systems within the formation, possibly connected by tunnel networks. This internal architecture appears highly unusual for natural geological processes at these depths. Ivy's equipment analysis indicates the experimental deep-sea detection gear delivered yesterday operates on frequency ranges specifically designed for biological matter detection. Standard naval sonar focuses on metallic objects and large geological features, but these units appear calibrated for organic tissue density and movement patterns. Technical documentation remains classified above current clearance levels. Bennett completed inventory of emergency supplies stored in the base's hardened sections. Emergency rations sufficient for 30-day isolation, backup communication equipment operational, emergency power systems capable of maintaining critical operations for extended periods. Standard emergency protocols current and regularly drilled. Thermal monitoring of the geological formation shows continued pulsing pattern, now synchronized with tidal cycles. Temperature differential reaching 3.1 degrees above baseline, suggesting active thermal source within the formation structure. Acoustic analysis indicates possible fluid movement within the internal chamber systems. At 0340 hours, sonar detected large-scale movement at the geological formation site. Acoustic signature suggests massive displacement of water and sediment material. Movement pattern inconsistent with geological settling or current-related disturbance. Acoustic intensity indicates significant mass and density involved in the movement. Mavis initiated enhanced monitoring protocol for unusual geological activity. All detection equipment focused on formation site, continuous acoustic monitoring established. Base security increased to alert status yellow per protocol for unknown deep ocean anomalies. Communication with Pacific Fleet operations scheduled for immediate report upon completion of initial assessment. The sonar sweep detected something at 12,000 feet that shouldn't exist. Acoustic signature showing biological characteristics combined with geological structure. Mass density calculations suggest organism measuring over 400 meters in length, integrated with or attached to the volcanic formation. Thermal signature indicates active biological processes at depth levels previously considered uninhabitable for large organisms. Standard deep ocean survey procedures require verification of unusual biological contacts through multiple detection methods. Secondary sonar array activated for triangulation confirmation. Acoustic signature analysis continuing to determine exact nature and size of detected organism. Initial assessment indicates discovery requires immediate classification and reporting to Pacific Fleet Command. Naval Operations Report, Multi-Station Contact Analysis. Date, 0847 hours, October 15th. Reporting Officer, Petty Officer First Class Isolde Finch, Sonar Specialist. Station, Pacific Fleet Submarine Base Kilo 7. Fleetwide communication at 0800 hours revealed coordinated detection events across Pacific operations. USS Meridian reported identical acoustic signature at coordinates 34 degrees 12 minutes north, 140 degrees 45 minutes west at 0315 hours, same time frame as Kilo 7 detection. USS Trident logged similar contact at coordinates 32 degrees 18 minutes north, 135 degrees 22 minutes west at 0322 hours. All three submarines detected biological signatures exceeding 300 meters length at depths between 12,000 and 15,000 feet. Bennett cross-referenced supply manifests from other Pacific installations through secured logistics network. Submarine Base Echo 4 received identical experimental deep-sea detection equipment on October 13th. Naval Station Pearl Harbor logged priority equipment delivery October 14th, manifest showing same classification codes. Equipment distribution pattern suggests Fleet Command anticipated requirement for enhanced deep ocean biological detection capabilities. Tate monitoring communications traffic intercepted coded transmission fragments referencing Operation Deep Watch between Pacific Fleet Command and NORAD. Transmission content classified beyond station clearance level, but deployment patterns suggest coordinated surveillance operations spanning entire Pacific Basin. Communication frequency and priority levels indicate operational significance beyond standard naval exercises. Mavis received priority communication from Fleet Operations at 0815 hours containing classified protocol document designated Leviathan-class detection response. Document requires immediate implementation of enhanced security measures for deep ocean biological contacts exceeding 200 meters length. Protocol includes communication restrictions, data classification procedures, and coordination requirements with specific command authorities. Secondary sonar analysis of Sector 7G formation confirms biological organism integrated with geological structure. Acoustic penetration reveals organism extends deep into ocean floor, possibly utilizing natural cave systems or having created artificial chambers. Thermal signature analysis indicates multiple organism components maintaining different temperature zones within the formation structure. Ivy completed technical analysis of experimental detection equipment. Frequency ranges specifically calibrated for biological tissue density measurement at extreme depths. Equipment specifications include acoustic imaging capabilities for organic matter, thermal detection for biological processes, and communication arrays for subsonic frequency transmission. Technical documentation indicates equipment designed for large-scale biological contact scenarios. At 0825 hours, coordinated sonar sweep with USS Meridian detected synchronized movement patterns between multiple biological signatures. Organisms appear to respond to each other's thermal output through subsonic communication frequencies below normal detection ranges. Movement coordination suggests intelligence levels significantly above typical deep ocean organisms. Bennett inventory analysis reveals unusual requisition patterns across Pacific Fleet installations over past 30 days. Emergency rations increased by 40% system-wide, backup communication equipment distributed to all deep ocean capable installations, emergency power systems upgraded at 12 submarine bases. Supply chain modifications suggest Fleet Command prepared for extended isolation scenarios. Deep ocean thermal monitoring shows pattern correlation between biological signatures detected at Kilo 7, USS Meridian, and USS Trident positions. All three organisms demonstrate identical 47-minute thermal pulse cycles, synchronized within 2-minute accuracy across 800-mile operational area. Coordination accuracy indicates communication capability previously unknown in deep ocean biological systems. Tate received priority fleet bulletin at 0840 hours reporting additional biological contacts from Naval Station Adak, Submarine Base Point Loma, and USS Columbia. All contacts show identical acoustic signatures, thermal patterns, and size classifications. Geographic distribution spans 4,000 miles of Pacific Ocean, suggesting either massive population or coordinated emergence from multiple deep ocean locations. Mavis analyzed Leviathan-class detection response protocol requirements. Procedures specify immediate lockdown of external communications beyond fleet command channels, restriction of personnel movement between installations, and activation of enhanced defense systems for installations with biological contacts within 500-mile radius. Protocol implementation suggests Fleet Command anticipated multiple simultaneous contact scenarios. Ivy's frequency analysis of biological signatures reveals subsonic communication between organisms at frequencies below 10 Hz. Communication appears coordinated across multiple locations simultaneously, suggesting either single distributed organism or highly developed communication network among separate entities. Subsonic range places communication below normal ocean acoustic interference, enabling clear transmission across thousands of miles. At 0835 hours, acoustic analysis detected coordinated diving behavior among all Pacific Fleet biological contacts. All organisms simultaneously increased depth by approximately 2,000 feet within 15-minute time frame. Synchronized behavior across 4,000-mile area confirms active communication and coordinated response capabilities. Bennett received classified supply requisition from Fleet Command requesting immediate preparation for extended operational isolation. Requisition includes 6-month food supplies, emergency fuel reserves, and backup equipment for communication systems. Supply timeline indicates expectation of potential isolation from standard supply chains within 72 hours. Thermal signature analysis shows biological contacts maintaining higher internal temperatures than surrounding ocean water by 8 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperature differential indicates active biological processes requiring significant energy expenditure. Thermal output levels suggest organisms possess advanced circulatory systems or internal heating mechanisms adapted for extreme depth survival. Tate intercepted communication fragments between Pacific Fleet Command and civilian authorities mentioning deep anomaly protocols and coordinated biological emergence events. Communication content suggests civilian evacuation planning for coastal areas, though specific details remain classified above station clearance levels. The sonar signature patterns match geological survey data from 1962 Project Deep Echo, classified naval operation investigating deep ocean anomalies following atmospheric nuclear testing. Historical data shows similar biological contacts detected at current locations following nuclear submarine testing operations. Pattern correlation suggests biological entities respond to specific electromagnetic or radiation signatures associated with nuclear operations. Mavis coordination with other Pacific installations confirms identical security protocol implementation system-wide. All submarine bases activated enhanced monitoring systems, restricted external communications, and increased defensive readiness levels. Coordination pattern indicates Fleet Command expected simultaneous multi-location biological contacts requiring standardized response procedures. Ivy's technical analysis indicates biological organisms demonstrate acoustic signature characteristics inconsistent with known deep ocean species. Sound reflection patterns suggest complex internal structure, possibly including air chambers or specialized organs adapted for extreme pressure environments. Biological architecture appears designed for active maneuvering at depths where most organisms cannot survive. At 0845 hours, all Pacific Fleet biological contacts simultaneously returned to previous depth levels within 20-minute coordination window. Movement synchronization confirms active communication network enabling real-time coordination across thousands of miles of ocean. Behavioral patterns suggest intelligence capable of tactical assessment and coordinated response to surveillance operations. Bennett completed analysis of emergency supply distribution patterns, showing Fleet Command prepared all Pacific installations for potential isolation scenarios involving unknown biological threats. Supply allocation patterns indicate expected duration of 6 months minimum, with emphasis on communication equipment, detection systems, and defensive capabilities. Every nuclear submarine in the Pacific reported the same coordinates. Contact positions correspond to deep ocean trench systems previously surveyed following nuclear testing operations between 1946 and 1962. Geographic correlation suggests biological entities associated with deep ocean nuclear contamination sites were awakened by electromagnetic signatures from nuclear submarine operations. Pattern assessment summary. Minimum 8 separate biological contacts across Pacific Ocean. All contacts exceed 300 meters length, depth capability 15,000 plus feet. Coordinated behavioral patterns indicate communication network. Fleet Command prepared for scenario through equipment and supply distribution. Historical correlation with nuclear testing locations suggests awakening trigger. Subsonic communication capability enables coordination across thousands of miles. Naval Station Puget Sound, Sonar Analysis Center. Date: classified. Report filed by Specialist Isolde Finch, Oceanographic Analysis Division. 0630 hours, Deep Analysis Protocol initiated. The biological signatures aren't registering as whale pods. I've run the sonar data through every marine life database in the system, cross-referenced with migration patterns, feeding behaviors, and seasonal movements. Nothing matches. The acoustic profiles show density readings consistent with cartilaginous structures, shark-like, but the size calculations are impossible. Bennett secured the additional detection equipment from the delayed shipment yesterday. The deep-sea sonar array components were labeled for experimental biological detection, equipment I've never seen requisitioned for standard operations. The specifications indicate detection capability down to 15,000 feet with biological mass estimation protocols. Someone anticipated we'd need this. I've been analyzing the coordinate data from submarine reports across the Pacific. USS Meridian, USS Columbia, USS Virginia, all reporting identical sonar signatures at depths between 10,000 and 12,000 feet. The pattern isn't random. These entities are positioned at specific intervals along the Pacific Ring of Fire, concentrated near deep ocean trenches. 0800 hours, equipment configuration. Ivy's modifying the base sonar arrays with the new detection components. Her technical expertise with experimental systems is proving essential. She's identified frequency ranges that standard equipment doesn't monitor, subsonic signatures below 20 Hz that require specialized processing. The biological returns are generating subsonic pulses, Ivy reported during the morning briefing. Consistent intervals, approximately every 47 seconds. The pattern suggests communication or echolocation, but the power output is enormous, enough to travel hundreds of miles underwater. Bennett's established a dedicated supply line for the detection equipment. The equipment manifest includes components for biological mass estimation, deep trench monitoring, and what's labeled as large organism tracking systems. The specifications suggest detection of organisms measuring over 200 feet in length. 1,200 hours data correlation. Mavis activated enhanced security protocols this morning. All communications are now routed through encrypted channels, and civilian personnel have been restricted from the sonar analysis sections. She referenced protocols I'd never heard of, Leviathan-class detection procedures, from a manual dated 1952. The Navy's been tracking these signatures since the 1940s, Mavis explained during the security briefing. Operation Deep Watch was established after the first nuclear weapons tests in the Pacific. The protocols were classified under national security directives. Tates established secure communication channels with naval installations across the Pacific. His network includes Pearl Harbor, Yokosuka, and 3 submarine commands. The communication protocols he's using are classified emergency frequencies reserved for biological threat assessment. 1,400 hours, biological analysis results. The sonar returns indicate organisms with internal structures consistent with cephalopod anatomy, complex nervous systems, muscular chambers, and what appears to be sophisticated sensory organs. But the scale is unprecedented. Length estimates range from 180 to 320 feet, with tentacle structures extending another 100 to 150 feet. The acoustic analysis reveals something more concerning. These organisms aren't just communicating, they're coordinating. The subsonic pulses from different locations sync with each other, creating communication networks spanning thousands of miles. Ivy's frequency analysis shows pattern recognition capabilities and tactical coordination between separate entities. 1,600 hours movement pattern assessment. I've mapped the biological signatures against ocean current data, thermal layers, and geological features. The entities aren't following standard marine life patterns. They're positioning themselves strategically, near major shipping lanes, submarine routes, and coastal installations. The movement patterns suggest intelligence and tactical planning. Bennett's resource assessment indicates these organisms require enormous food sources. Based on size estimates and metabolic calculations, each entity would need to consume approximately 2 to 3 tons of organic matter daily. Current fish populations in their operational areas couldn't sustain organisms of this size and number. 1,800 hours, technical modifications complete. Ivy completed modifications to the sonar detection systems. The new configuration provides real-time biological mass tracking with depth precision and movement prediction algorithms. The system can now monitor subsonic communication patterns and correlate movement between multiple entities. The detection range is now 300 miles with biological signature confirmation, Ivy reported. The system's tracking 17 separate entities across the Pacific, with coordinated movement patterns indicating pack behavior. Tate received confirmation from USS Meridian that their biological detection systems have been upgraded with similar equipment. The coordination suggests Navy-wide preparation for large-scale biological threat assessment. 2,000 hours, threat assessment summary. Based on current data analysis. Biological profile. Length, 180 to 320 feet, estimated. Classification, advanced cephalopod characteristics. Intelligence level, tactical coordination confirmed. Communication, subsonic frequency networks. Population, minimum 17 entities confirmed Pacific-wide. Tactical implications, strategic positioning near critical infrastructure. Coordinated movement patterns across thousands of miles. Food requirements exceed sustainable marine life populations. Communication capabilities enable pack hunting behavior. Resource status, detection equipment operational and modified for biological tracking. Secure communication networks established with Pacific Fleet. Emergency protocols activated under classified authority. Personnel cleared for biological threat response operations. 2,200 hours, next phase protocols. Mavis authorized transition to enhanced monitoring protocols. All personnel are now assigned to rotating shifts for continuous biological signature tracking. Bennett's implementing extended supply protocols for potential long-term monitoring operations. The entities haven't made any aggressive moves, but their positioning suggests they're assessing surface targets. The subsonic communication patterns have increased in frequency over the past 24 hours, from one pulse every 47 seconds to one every 31 seconds. Tomorrow we begin active monitoring of their communication patterns. Ivy's developing translation algorithms for the subsonic signatures. If these organisms are intelligent enough for tactical coordination, we need to understand their intentions before they make their next move. The biological signatures were larger than aircraft carriers, and they're all moving toward the surface. Naval Station Puget Sound, Emergency Operations Center. Date, classified. Priority, flash, immediate action required. Report filed by Specialist Isolde Finch, Oceanographic Analysis Division. 0347 hours, first surface breach detected. Seismic monitoring stations registered a 6.2 magnitude event 200 miles northwest of our position. Geological survey confirms no tectonic activity in the region. Water displacement calculations indicate an object approximately 280 feet in length breached the surface with sufficient force to generate tsunami-scale waves. Ivy's modified detection systems tracked the ascent from 8,400 feet depth. The biological signature maintained coordinated subsonic communication with 16 other entities during the breach sequence. Ascent rate averaged 240 feet per minute, far exceeding normal marine life capabilities. The surface breach lasted exactly 14 minutes, Ivy reported from the detection center. The entity remained stationary at surface level, then descended to 2,000 feet depth. All other tracked entities simultaneously adjusted their positions by an average of 12 nautical miles closer to coastal installations. 0415 hours, emergency resource allocation. Bennett activated emergency supply protocols immediately following surface breach confirmation. All non-essential personnel restricted to base facilities. Emergency equipment distribution includes deep-sea detection arrays, priority deployment to coastal monitoring stations, emergency communication equipment, distributed to all Pacific Fleet installations, biological threat response gear, activated from strategic reserve stockpiles, extended operational supplies, rationing protocols for 90-day independent operations, supply coordination with civilian authorities initiated. Bennett's established priority requisition channels for specialized equipment including high-powered sonar arrays, underwater demolition charges, and emergency evacuation resources. 0500 hours, evacuation protocol activation. Mavis coordinated immediate evacuation protocols for all coastal naval installations within 300 miles of confirmed biological signatures. Priority facilities include submarine bases, complete operational shutdown and personnel evacuation. Research installations, scientific equipment secured, personnel relocated inland. Communication stations, essential equipment relocated to hardened facilities. Supply depots, critical resources relocated to inland distribution centers. Civilian authorities notified through classified emergency channels. Evacuation recommendations issued for coastal populations within 50 miles of water depths exceeding 1,000 feet. Cover protocols cite routine military exercises requiring extended coastal access restrictions. 0630 hours, Pacific Fleet Coordination. Tate's communication network expanded to include all Pacific naval commands. Secure channels established with Pearl Harbor Naval Base. Confirmed biological signatures within 150 miles. Naval Base San Diego. Multiple entities detected approaching California coast. Naval Station Norfolk. Atlantic Command requesting Pacific Threat Assessment data. USS Meridian. Submarine reporting direct visual contact with biological entity. Communication protocols upgraded to DEFCON 3 classification levels. All biological threat data classified under national security directives. Tate confirmed similar evacuation protocols activated at 17 Pacific installations. 0800 hours, multiple breach events. Ivy's detection systems registered coordinated surface breaches at 7 Pacific locations. Location Alpha, 200 miles NW of base single entity, 14-minute surface duration. Location Bravo, Pearl Harbor vicinity 2 entities, synchronized breach pattern. Location Charlie, California coast 3 entities, triangular formation. Location Delta, Japan region single entity, extended 23-minute surface duration. Location Echo, Philippines region 2 entities, alternating breach sequence. Location Foxtrot, Alaska region single entity, brief 8-minute surface exposure. Location Gulf, Oregon coast single entity, coordinated with Location Alpha. Each breach event generated seismic signatures between 5.8 and 6.4 magnitude. Water displacement patterns indicate entities testing surface conditions and coastal proximity limitations. 1,000 hours, threat escalation assessment. Bennett's resource analysis indicates entities are assessing infrastructure targets. Surface breach locations correlate with major naval installations, 87% of breaches within 200 miles of military facilities. Shipping lanes, 94% of breaches near commercial vessel traffic routes. Coastal population centers, 76% of breaches within 100 miles of cities exceeding 500,000 population. Nuclear facilities, 45% of breaches within 150 miles of coastal nuclear installations. Food source analysis confirms marine life populations insufficient for sustained feeding. Entities require alternative food sources equivalent to 35 to 50 tons of organic matter daily per entity. Current estimated population of 17 entities requires 595 to 850 tons of organic matter daily. 1,200 hours, communication pattern analysis. IV's subsonic monitoring systems detected coordinated communication patterns during breach events. Communication frequency increased to 1 pulse every 18 seconds during surface operations. Pattern analysis indicates tactical coordination, synchronized movement patterns across 4,000-mile range. Information sharing, identical behavioral responses to surface conditions. Territory establishment, entities maintaining specific distance intervals. Assessment protocols, extended surface exposure correlates with data gathering behavior. The entities are mapping surface targets and coordinating operational zones. 1,400 hours, civilian authority coordination. Tate relayed urgent warnings to civilian authorities through classified emergency channels. Coast Guard, all vessel traffic restricted from areas within 500 miles of biological signatures. NOAA, oceanographic monitoring stations evacuated from coastal positions. FEMA, emergency response protocols activated for coastal population centers. Department of Energy, nuclear facilities within 200 miles of breach locations secured. Civilian evacuation procedures disguised as routine emergency preparedness exercises. Media restrictions implemented under national security protocols. Cover story attributes seismic activity to deep ocean geological research operations. 1,600 hours, base security enhancement. Mavis implemented enhanced security protocols for base operations. Perimeter security, all access points secured with armed personnel. Communication security, all external communications require dual authorization. Personnel security, all civilian contractors restricted to essential operations only. Equipment security, All detection and communication equipment under armed guard. Base isolation protocols activated. All personnel restricted to facility grounds. Emergency supply reserves sufficient for 120-day independent operations. Medical facilities prepared for potential casualties from biological threat encounters. 1800 hours, entity behavior modification. IV's tracking systems detected significant behavioral changes following initial surface breach events. Depth positioning. All entities relocated to depths between 1,000 to 3,000 feet. Movement patterns. Coordinated advancement toward coastal installations at 3.2 knots average speed. Communication frequency. Increased to 1 pulse every 12 seconds. Formation behavior. Entities organizing into tactical groups of 2 to 3 individuals. The entities are no longer in assessment phase. They're moving into operational positions. 2,000 hours, critical resource assessment. Bennett's emergency supply analysis for extended threat conditions. Current operational capability. Food supplies, 127 days at standard rationing. Fuel reserves, 89 days for essential operations only. Communication equipment, operational with backup power systems. Detection systems, full operational capability with spare component reserves. Defensive capabilities, limited to small arms and facility security measures. Critical shortfalls, anti-biological weapon systems, none available. Heavy defensive equipment, insufficient for large-scale biological threats. Extended food supplies, requires resupply within 90 days. Medical trauma equipment, insufficient for mass casualty scenarios. 2,200 hours, immediate threat status. The surface breach registered as a 6.2 seismic event. 17 confirmed biological entities now positioned within 300 miles of major Pacific installations. Communication patterns indicate coordinated tactical planning. Surface breach events confirm entities capable of generating tsunami-scale water displacement. All entities advancing toward coastal positions at consistent speed. Estimated time to critical proximity of major installations, 72 to 96 hours. Mavis authorized transition to DEFCON 2 protocols. All personnel assigned to continuous monitoring rotations. Emergency communication maintained with Pacific Fleet commands. Base prepared for extended isolation and potential direct biological threat encounter. The entities have completed their assessment phase. Tactical report. Naval Installation Bravo 7. Date. Classified. Reporting officer, Lieutenant Isolde Finch, Oceanographic Specialist. Threat level, 6/10. Survival mode activated. 0347 hours. Multiple breach confirmation. The sonar readings don't lie. What we detected at 12,000 feet 12 hours ago is now registering at surface level across 17 distinct coordinates. Bennett's emergency supply distribution is complete. Every member of base personnel has received their allocation of emergency rations, water purification tablets, and communication equipment. The base commander activated Leviathan protocol at 0340 hours. I never thought I'd see those protocols implemented. Mavis had them memorized from her advanced tactical training, but the rest of us only knew fragments. Total base lockdown. All surface operations suspended. Communications restricted to emergency channels only. Personnel relocated to hardened sections below sea level. The temperature differential readings I noted in Sector 7G 3 days ago weren't anomalous ocean currents. They were thermal signatures of biological masses ascending from abyssal depths. The pattern matches what Ivy detected on the modified sonar arrays. Coordinated movement from multiple trench systems simultaneously. 0415 hours, tactical assessment. Tate's communication logs show the scope of this emergence. Naval installations from San Diego to Pearl Harbor report identical phenomena. The USS Meridian transmitted their final coherent report at 0352 hours. Biological contact, length estimated 800 feet, multiple appendages detected, approaching surface at bearing 270. Bennett completed the surface facility lockdown 17 minutes ahead of schedule. All non-essential equipment secured or relocated to sublevel storage. Emergency power systems activated. The base's hardened sections were designed to withstand direct nuclear strikes. They should provide adequate protection from biological threats. Mavis established our tactical command center in sublevel C, the deepest operational section of the base. The reinforced concrete and steel construction provides optimal protection while maintaining access to our modified detection systems. Ivy relocated the experimental sonar equipment to this level yesterday, anticipating this operational requirement. 0441 hours, first visual confirmation. The perimeter cameras captured 17 seconds of footage before the surface transmission array failed. The biological entity that breached 200 meters off our primary dock measures approximately 600 feet in length. Multiple appendages, tentacles, based on the movement patterns, each exceeding 100 feet in length. The surface displacement created waves that damaged our secondary pier infrastructure. Bennett's resource calculations indicate we can maintain current operational capacity for 43 days at full staffing levels. Extended rationing protocols would extend this to 76 days. The emergency water filtration systems can process seawater indefinitely, assuming the intake systems remain operational. Ivy's subsonic frequency analysis reveals these entities communicate through low-frequency pulses below human hearing range. The pattern suggests coordinated behavior, pack hunting strategies similar to terrestrial apex predators, but adapted for deep ocean environments. 0523 hours, communication network status. Tate maintains contact with 3 Pacific installations, Pearl Harbor, Coronado, and the USS Meridian. Pearl Harbor reports defensive positions established, but surface operations suspended. Coronado lost primary communication array, but maintains emergency channels. The Meridian's last transmission indicated they were implementing emergency dive protocols. The subsonic communication Ivy discovered explains the coordinated emergence pattern. These entities didn't surface randomly. They executed a planned tactical maneuver across the entire Pacific theater. My oceanographic analysis indicates they utilized deep ocean currents to maintain formation while ascending from abyssal depths. Mavis activated our electromagnetic signature reduction protocols. All non-essential electronic systems powered down. Communications limited to hardened landlines and emergency radio frequencies. The entities appear to be attracted to electromagnetic emissions. Standard naval operations would make us a primary target. 0547 hours, threat behavior analysis. The creature at our perimeter hasn't departed. Passive sonar indicates it's maintaining position approximately 150 meters from our primary dock. Movement patterns suggest exploratory behavior, testing our defenses without committing to a full assault. This indicates higher intelligence than initially assessed. Bennett reports our ammunition storage is secure in sublevel B. Standard naval armaments may prove ineffective against entities of this size, but explosive ordnance could provide defensive capabilities if they attempt to breach our hardened positions. The base's design included provisions for underwater demolition. Those systems remain operational. Ivy's frequency analysis reveals something concerning. The subsonic pulses aren't just communication, they're echolocation. These entities are mapping our facility's interior structure through acoustic scanning. They know exactly where we are and what our defensive capabilities include. 0612 hours, resource allocation complete. The transition to survival operations is complete. All personnel relocated to hardened sections. Surface facilities abandoned except for critical monitoring systems. Emergency power grid activated with backup generators providing redundant capability. Water filtration systems operational at reduced capacity to minimize electromagnetic signature. Mavis established defensive positions at each access point to sublevel C. The base's design includes emergency bulkhead systems that can seal individual sections if necessary. These were intended for damage control during combat operations, but they'll serve equally well against biological threats. The entities demonstrate tactical patience. Rather than immediate assault, they're conducting reconnaissance and establishing perimeter control. This suggests long-term siege tactics rather than rapid strike operations. Our resource management protocols must account for extended operations under hostile conditions. 0638 hours, tactical implications. My analysis of the oceanographic data reveals why these entities emerged now. The nuclear detonations detected by our submarine patrols weren't weapons testing, they were signals. Deep ocean nuclear events create specific electromagnetic and acoustic signatures that penetrated to abyssal depths where these entities remained dormant. The pattern suggests these are apex predators from an earlier geological era, preserved in deep ocean trenches and awakened by human nuclear activity. They possess advanced hunting instincts adapted for deep ocean environments, but they're learning surface tactics rapidly. Bennett's defensive preparations include establishing fallback positions if our primary location becomes compromised. The base's construction provides multiple hardened sections with independent life support systems. Each section can maintain 6 personnel for extended periods if resource allocation remains optimal. 0703 hours, operational status. Tate received updated intelligence from Pearl Harbor. Similar entities have established perimeter positions around all major Pacific naval installations. This isn't random predation, it's a coordinated campaign to neutralize human naval capabilities in the Pacific theater. IV's sonar modifications provide early warning capability for approaching entities. The subsonic frequency signature is distinctive enough to differentiate from ocean ambient noise. We can detect approach vectors from distances up to 2,000 meters, providing adequate warning time for defensive preparations. The base's emergency protocols assume threats from human adversaries with conventional weapons. These protocols require adaptation for biological threats with capabilities that exceed standard tactical parameters. MAVIS coordinates are defensive modifications while maintaining operational security procedures. 0729 hours, critical assessment. The point of no return occurred at 0340 hours when Leviathan protocol activated. Surface operations are no longer viable. Our survival depends on maintaining hardened positions while developing tactical countermeasures against entities that possess capabilities we're still learning to understand. Bennett's resource management ensures operational sustainability for extended siege conditions. MAVIS coordinates tactical responses using available defensive systems. Tate maintains communication with allied installations to coordinate regional defense strategies. IV operates detection systems that provide tactical intelligence on entity behavior patterns. My oceanographic expertise indicates these entities will establish territorial control over their emergence zones. They won't simply disappear. They'll adapt to surface conditions and expand their operational parameters. Our tactical situation requires preparing for extended operations against apex predators that are learning human defensive capabilities. The hardened sections provide adequate protection, but our long-term survival depends on developing countermeasures that exploit entity vulnerabilities we haven't yet identified. The subsonic communication system IV discovered may provide tactical opportunities if we can develop interference or disruption capabilities. Base status, secure but besieged. Personnel, all operational. Resources, adequate for extended operations. Threat assessment, ongoing and adaptive. End tactical report. Tactical report, Naval Installation Bravo 7. Date, classified, Day 3 siege conditions. Reporting officer, Lieutenant Isolde Finch, Oceanographic Specialist. Threat level, 7/10, sustained siege operations. 0800 hours, operational sustainment protocols. 72 hours into siege conditions, our adaptation to underground operations is complete. Bennett established the Resource Management Center in sublevel C7, adjacent to our tactical command post. His calculations now account for extended operations with precise consumption tracking. Daily water allocation, 2.3 liters per person. Food rations distributed in 12-hour cycles. Emergency medical supplies inventoried and secured. The Underground Command Center provides optimal tactical capability while maintaining operational security. MAVIS relocated all communication equipment to this position, establishing hardwired connections to our modified detection arrays. The reinforced construction eliminates electromagnetic leakage that previously attracted entity attention. IV completed installation of the early warning system throughout sublevel C. Passive sonar arrays monitor approaches from 4 cardinal directions, with detection capability extending 2,000 meters from our position. The system operates on minimal power draw while providing comprehensive threat assessment data. 0823 hours, entity behavioral patterns. The creature maintaining perimeter position has established a patrol pattern. Sonar tracking indicates it circles our facility at 200-meter intervals, completing one circuit every 47 minutes. This behavior suggests territorial marking rather than immediate assault preparation. The entity is claiming our location as part of its operational zone. Tate's communication logs reveal similar patterns at other installations. Pearl Harbor reports 3 entities maintaining coordinated perimeter positions. Coronado detected 2 entities establishing territorial boundaries around their facility. The USS Meridian transmitted automated distress signals for 18 hours before all transmissions ceased. My analysis indicates these entities employ siege tactics similar to terrestrial pack hunters. Rather than direct assault, they isolate prey and wait for resource depletion or defensive failures. This confirms our tactical assessment that extended operational capability is essential for survival. 0857 hours, communication network maintenance. Tate established secure communication protocols with remaining Pacific installations. Pearl Harbor maintains operational status with defensive positions established. Coronado reports entity activity, but no direct assault attempts. Naval Command Pacific transmitted emergency authorization for autonomous defensive operations, standard command structure suspended during siege conditions. The communication network operates on emergency frequencies with transmission windows limited to essential tactical information. Scheduled contact times 0800, 1400, and 2000 hours. Emergency protocols available for immediate threat situations. This reduces electromagnetic signature while maintaining operational coordination. Bennett's resource calculations indicate our communication equipment can operate for extended periods without significant power consumption. Emergency radio systems provide backup capability if primary communication arrays fail. The hardened position protects communication equipment from electromagnetic interference generated by entity activity. 0934 hours, tactical defensive modifications. Mavis completed modifications to our defensive systems. The base's emergency bulkhead controls are now operated from our command center, providing immediate response capability if entities breach outer perimeters. Demolition charges relocated to strategic positions throughout sublevel C access points. Our defensive strategy adapts to entity capabilities rather than standard threat parameters. Conventional weapons prove ineffective against creatures of this size and apparent resilience. Explosive ordnance provides area denial capability, but our limited supply requires strategic deployment only when tactical advantage justifies expenditure. Ivy's detection systems reveal entities communicate through subsonic pulses below 15 Hz. These frequencies penetrate our facility's structure, indicating entities maintain awareness of our position and activity levels. Our operational procedures now include acoustic discipline to minimize detectable signatures. 1012 hours, resource optimization procedures. Bennett implemented advanced resource conservation protocols. Water recycling systems operate at maximum efficiency, processing all wastewater through multiple filtration stages. Food preparation procedures modified to eliminate waste and maximize nutritional value. Medical supplies allocated based on injury probability assessments rather than standard distribution. The emergency equipment cache discovered in Sublevel B provides extended operational capability. Contents include additional water purification tablets, emergency rations for 14 days, and replacement components for our detection systems. This cache represents the difference between basic survival and extended tactical operations. Power consumption reduced to essential systems only. Lighting limited to command center and critical work areas. Electronic equipment operates on minimum power settings while maintaining operational capability. Emergency generators provide backup power with fuel reserves calculated for 60-day operations. 1045 hours, subsonic frequency analysis. Ivy's analysis of entity communication reveals complex patterns suggesting advanced intelligence. The subsonic pulses vary in frequency, duration, and repetition patterns, indicating structured communication rather than simple echolocation. Entities coordinate their activities through these acoustic signals. Frequency analysis indicates 3 distinct communication types: territorial markers, tactical coordination, and status reporting. The territorial markers occur every 47 minutes, corresponding to patrol completion. Tactical coordination pulses occur when entities detect changes in our electromagnetic signature. Status reports transmit between entities at regular intervals. This communication system provides tactical intelligence opportunities. By monitoring subsonic patterns, we can predict entity movement and activity levels. The communication frequencies remain consistent, suggesting these entities possess standardized communication protocols developed over extended evolutionary periods. 1128 hours, facility security assessment. Our hardened position provides adequate protection against direct assault, but entities demonstrate problem-solving capabilities that require constant vigilance. The creature on perimeter patrol tested our outer defenses twice, probing with tentacles at access points before withdrawing. This behavior indicates learning and adaptation. Mavis established multiple defensive positions throughout Sublevel C. Each position provides interlocking fields of fire using available weapons systems. Emergency evacuation routes established between positions with fallback procedures if primary defenses fail. Personnel assigned to defensive positions based on tactical expertise and equipment familiarity. The facility's construction includes emergency systems designed for extreme conditions. Air filtration systems operate independently from surface connections. Water supplies secured from contamination through multiple redundant systems. Food storage areas maintained at optimal temperature and humidity levels. 1,203 hours. Operational coordination. Tate's scheduled communication with allied installations confirms our tactical assessments. Pearl Harbor reports similar entity behavior patterns and defensive adaptations. Coronado maintains operational security, but reports resource concerns for extended operations. Naval Command Pacific provides tactical intelligence updates, but offers no immediate support capabilities. The coordination between installations provides tactical advantages through shared intelligence. Entity behavior patterns observed at multiple locations confirm our behavioral assessments. Defensive modifications successful at other installations guide our tactical planning. Resource management strategies proven effective elsewhere inform our operational procedures. Bennett coordinates supply sharing between installations through secure transportation methods. Emergency supply drops remain possible using submarine delivery systems that avoid surface detection. These operations require precise timing and coordination to prevent entity interference. 1,247 hours. Environmental monitoring. The entity's presence creates measurable environmental changes. Water temperature around our facility increased by 2.3 degrees Celsius, indicating biological heat generation from large organisms. Ocean chemistry shows elevated organic compounds consistent with biological waste products. These changes affect our water filtration requirements. Seismic monitoring detects low-frequency vibrations corresponding to entity movement. These vibrations penetrate our facility's structure, providing additional detection capability beyond our sonar systems. The vibration patterns distinguish between different entity types and activity levels. Ivy's environmental monitoring systems track atmospheric conditions within our facility. Air quality remains optimal with filtration systems operating efficiently. Humidity levels controlled through mechanical systems. Temperature maintained at operational standards through emergency heating systems. 1,319 hours. Tactical adaptation status. 3 days of siege operations demonstrate our capability to maintain defensive positions indefinitely. Resource management systems operate efficiently with minimal waste. Communication networks provide adequate coordination with allied installations. Detection systems deliver comprehensive threat assessment data. The entities demonstrate tactical patience, maintaining siege positions without direct assault. This behavior indicates they possess time advantages we lack. They can maintain current positions indefinitely while our resources diminish. Our survival depends on developing countermeasures that exploit entity vulnerabilities. Bennett's resource projections indicate sustainable operations for extended periods if current consumption rates continue. Mavis coordinates defensive systems that provide adequate protection against observed entity capabilities. Tate maintains communication networks essential for tactical coordination. Ivy operates detection systems that deliver actionable intelligence. 1,352 hours. Operational assessment summary. Survival adaptation phase complete. Underground command center operational with full tactical capability. Resource management systems ensure extended operational sustainability. Communication networks provide coordination with allied installations. Detection systems deliver comprehensive threat assessment data. Entity behavioral patterns indicate siege tactics rather than direct assault. Territorial patrol patterns suggest long-term occupation of our operational zone. Subsonic communication systems provide intelligence gathering opportunities. Environmental changes confirm continued entity presence. Our tactical position provides adequate protection and operational capability. Defensive systems adapted to entity capabilities rather than conventional threats. Resource conservation protocols ensure extended operational sustainability. Intelligence gathering systems provide tactical advantages through behavioral prediction. Facility status, secure and operational. Personnel status, all functional with assigned tactical roles. Resource status, adequate for extended operations. Threat assessment, ongoing siege with adaptive entity behavior. The siege continues, but our tactical adaptation provides sustainable defensive capability. Entity weaknesses remain unidentified, but our operational security prevents tactical compromise. Survival depends on maintaining current defensive posture while developing countermeasures against entities that demonstrate learning capabilities. End Tactical Report. Naval Base Operations Report, Day 12. Classification, Eyes Only. From Specialist I, Finch, Deep Sea Operations. 2. Pacific Fleet Command Signal Lost. 0347 hours, perimeter breach confirmed. The seismic sensors registered the impact at 0344. Bennett's emergency lighting revealed what the perimeter cameras couldn't capture in the pre-dawn darkness. A section of the reinforced dock facility had been peeled back like aluminum foil. The concrete barriers we'd spent 3 days reinforcing were scattered across the harbor floor in chunks no smaller than automobiles. Ivy's detection array went active immediately. Multiple signatures approaching from bearing 270, depth varying between surface and 200 feet. Count. Jesus is sold. I'm reading at least 12 distinct contacts. Mavis coordinated the lockdown sequence from the hardened command center. All personnel to emergency stations. Bennett, initiate Protocol 7, abandon surface infrastructure, secure to underground positions. Tate, status on Pearl Harbor link. Still active, Tate confirmed, adjusting the frequency modulation to maintain the connection. They're tracking similar approach patterns. 3 installations on their outer ring went dark in the last hour. The tactical display showed our situation with mathematical precision. Surface facilities, compromised. Primary supply depot, accessible only through the breached perimeter. Secondary equipment stores, flooded when something had torn through the sea wall during the night. Bennett appeared at the command center entrance, seawater dripping from his equipment harness. Surface depot is gone. Lost 80% of our detection equipment reserves and all the emergency rations above level C. The backup generator housing took direct impact, something with enough force to crack reinforced concrete. Ivy's sonar painted the approaching threat in stark detail. The largest signature measured 180 feet in length, moving with deliberate coordination alongside smaller contacts ranging from 40 to 90 feet. They're not just hunting, she reported, voice steady despite the implications. This is tactical movement. Formation approach with flanking elements. 0412 hours, tactical reassessment. Mavis spread the base schematics across the operations table. Underground sections remain secure. Emergency cache in Section D contains sufficient supplies for extended operations, but we're operating on backup power and limited detection capability. The loss calculation was straightforward. Primary sonar array, destroyed. Communications relay station, partially functional but exposed. Vehicle bay, flooded and inaccessible. Personnel count. All 5 team members operational, but supporting base personnel had evacuated to inland facilities 48 hours earlier. Tate's communication board lit with incoming transmissions. Pearl Harbor reports USS Meridian has gone silent. Last transmission indicated creatures were. Christ, they were climbing onto the submarine's hull. Meridian's nuclear reactor went into emergency shutdown 12 minutes ago. The implications hit like a physical blow. Meridian had been our primary intelligence source, their deep-sea capabilities providing crucial data on creature behavior patterns. More critically, they'd been tracking the largest concentration of entities, over 30 contacts moving in coordinated groups toward major Pacific installations. Bennett checked his equipment manifest. Emergency cache contains 42 days of rations for 5 personnel, assuming standard consumption. Water recycling system remains functional. Critical limitation, detection equipment. We're operating with 1 functional sonar array and backup communications only. Ivy monitored the perimeter through the remaining sensors. Contacts have stopped their approach. They're positioned around the base perimeter at consistent intervals. 400-meter spacing, maintaining depth between 50 and 100 feet. Siege formation, Mavis identified immediately. They're not just attacking random targets. This is coordinated territorial behavior. 0445 hours, communication loss cascade. Tate's expression went grim as another signal disappeared from his board. San Diego Naval Station just went offline. That's 7 major installations in the last 6 hours. He adjusted frequencies, trying to maintain contact with the remaining network. Pearl Harbor is reporting creatures at their outer perimeter. They're requesting immediate tactical intelligence on effective countermeasures. The strategic picture was deteriorating with mathematical precision. Each lost installation reduced our information network, limited tactical options, and increased the probability that our base represented a critical intelligence asset. The creatures weren't just hunting, they were systematically eliminating naval capabilities across the Pacific. Bennett emerged from the supply assessment with updated calculations. Revised timeline based on current resource status and inability to access surface stores. 28 days maximum operations at current consumption levels. Reduced to 18 days if we maintain full detection protocols. IV sensors detected movement in the flooded sections. Something's in the vehicle bay. Large signature, approximately 60 feet. It's not moving like the others. More methodical. Testing structural integrity points. The tactical display updated with each sensor reading. The creature in the vehicle bay was conducting what could only be described as reconnaissance. It moved along the flooded corridors with deliberate purpose, testing barriers, probing access points to the underground sections. Mavis coordinated the response protocols. Seal all connections between surface and underground levels. Bennett, activate emergency bulkhead systems. Ivy, redirect all detection capability to internal monitoring. If they breach the upper levels, we need advance warning. 0523 hours, Meridian final transmission. Tate's communication equipment crackled with a weak signal. Wait, I'm getting something on the Meridian frequency. Hold on. The transmission quality was degraded, broken by static and what sounded like impacts against metal. Lieutenant Commander Harrison's voice came through in fragments. Creatures exhibit problem-solving behavior, coordinated assault on nuclear systems, attempting to access reactor compartment. Electromagnetic signatures appear to attract. Frequency modulation may be signal breaking up. If anyone receives this, they learn, they adapt. The transmission cut to static. That's it, Tate confirmed. Meridian is gone. The loss represented more than personnel and equipment. Meridian had been gathering crucial intelligence on creature capabilities, their apparent interest in nuclear systems, and potential vulnerabilities. Without that data stream, our understanding of threat patterns was reduced to direct observation and limited sensor readings. Bennett calculated the strategic implications. Meridian represented 40% of our tactical intelligence gathering capability. Their loss reduces threat prediction accuracy and eliminates our primary source of creature behavioral analysis. IV sensors registered new activity. Multiple contacts moving away from perimeter positions. They're leaving. All contacts except the one in the vehicle bay are moving to deeper water. 0610 hours, isolation protocols. With the perimeter clear except for the single entity conducting reconnaissance in the flooded sections, Mavis initiated long-term isolation procedures. The base's underground sections were designed for extended operations, but not under siege conditions with limited external resources. Operational status assessment, Mavis requested. Bennett provided the tactical summary. Personnel, 5 operational. Supplies, adequate for 18 to 28 days depending on detection protocol intensity. Communications, limited to Pearl Harbor and 2 smaller installations. Detection capability, reduced to single sonar array and internal sensors. Tate monitored the communication networks. Pearl Harbor reports similar siege behavior. Creatures established perimeter positions, conducted reconnaissance, then withdrew to deeper water. They're maintaining surveillance positions at 2,000-meter depth intervals. The pattern was clear. The creatures weren't conducting random attacks. They were establishing territorial control, gathering intelligence on human defensive capabilities, and maintaining strategic positions around major installations. Ivy tracked the entity in the vehicle bay. Contact has been in the flooded section for 47 minutes. Movement patterns suggest detailed structural assessment. It's testing every access point to the lower levels. 0645 hours, resource consolidation. Bennett completed the emergency cache inventory with military precision. Emergency supplies secured, detection equipment sufficient for basic operations, medical supplies adequate, communication equipment functional but limited range. Critical shortage, replacement parts for sonar systems and backup power components. The underground sections provided security, but at the cost of operational flexibility. Surface access was compromised, limiting our ability to conduct repairs, gather additional resources, or maintain full detection capabilities. The base had become a refuge, but one with diminishing tactical effectiveness. Mavis reviewed tactical options. Immediate priorities: maintain communication with remaining installations, monitor creature behavior patterns, preserve detection capability for threat assessment. Secondary objective: develop countermeasures based on available resources and intelligence. Tate received an update from Pearl Harbor. They're reporting similar reconnaissance behavior. Creatures appear to be gathering intelligence on defensive capabilities, structural vulnerabilities, and response protocols. Pearl Harbor estimates they're under observation by entities positioned at strategic depths around their perimeter. 0720 hours, tactical adaptation. The reconnaissance entity in the vehicle bay had completed its survey and withdrawn to deeper water, joining the surveillance positions maintained by other creatures. The base was effectively under observation, our activities monitored by entities demonstrating clear intelligence and coordination. Ivy analyzed the reconnaissance patterns. The entity tested every structural weakness, every access point, every detection system it encountered. Duration and methodology suggest information gathering for future tactical operations. Bennett established new resource management protocols, reduced power consumption to extend operational timeline, non-essential systems offline, detection array limited to perimeter monitoring and internal security, communications maintained with remaining network installations. The tactical situation had stabilized at a new baseline. The base remained secure but isolated, resources adequate but limited, intelligence gathering reduced but functional. The creatures had demonstrated tactical sophistication, systematic approach to territorial control, and apparent interest in human defensive capabilities. Mavis updated operational priorities. Phase 1. Maintain current security status and resource conservation. Phase 2. Analyze creature behavioral patterns for tactical advantages. Phase 3. Develop countermeasures using available resources and intelligence. The morning sun illuminated a harbor transformed. Where naval vessels had anchored, deep channels marked by disturbed sediment showed the paths of massive entities. The reinforced dock facilities were twisted metal and scattered concrete. The base's surface infrastructure bore the marks of deliberate, systematic assessment by intelligences that had adapted their approach based on observed defensive capabilities. In the hardened command center, 5 personnel maintained watch over detection systems, showing a Pacific Ocean now under the territorial control of entities that had emerged from depths where they had waited since the first nuclear detonations disturbed their ancient domains. The siege had begun. End report, Day 12. Next assessment, 0800 hours. Resource status, yellow. Threat level, critical. Communications, limited. Final transmission to Pearl Harbor. Base secure but isolated. Creatures demonstrate tactical intelligence and surveillance capability. Maintaining operational status with reduced resources. Will advise of developments. Naval Base Operations Report, Day 15. Classification, Eyes Only. From Specialist I, Finch, Deep Sea Operations. To Pacific Fleet Command, Signal Intermittent. 0315 hours, Pattern Analysis Breakthrough. 72 hours of continuous observation had yielded the tactical intelligence breakthrough we needed. Ivy's modified detection array, operating on minimal power to avoid electromagnetic signature detection, had recorded 3 complete behavioral cycles from the surveillance entities positioned around our perimeter. The pattern is mathematically precise, I reported to the team assembled in the hardened command center. Every 47 minutes and 12 seconds, all perimeter contacts simultaneously descend to depths exceeding 500 feet. Duration of absence, exactly 11 minutes and 43 seconds. Then they return to surveillance positions. Bennett checked his chronometer against the recorded data. Feeding behavior? Confirmed, Ivy stated, reviewing the sonar recordings. During each descent period, we register impact signatures consistent with large-scale predation events. The creatures are hunting in coordinated groups during these intervals. Mavis studied the tactical implications. 11 minutes and 43 seconds of reduced surveillance. That's our operational window. The pattern had remained consistent across all observed cycles. The creatures maintained rigid discipline in their surveillance operations, but their biological needs created a predictable vulnerability. During feeding periods, perimeter security dropped to 0 as all entities participated in coordinated hunting activities. Tate's communication equipment crackled with an incoming transmission from Pearl Harbor. "Finch, this is Commander Walsh. We've observed identical behavioral patterns here. Feeding cycles occur simultaneously across all surveillance positions. Are you documenting the same 47-minute intervals?" "Confirmed, Pearl Harbor. Pattern consistency suggests coordinated behavior across multiple territorial zones." 0342 hours, electromagnetic signature analysis. Bennett had spent the previous day conducting systematic testing of equipment activation during creature surveillance periods. His findings confirmed a critical tactical vulnerability in our operations. "Electromagnetic emissions correlate directly with creature approach behavior," Bennett reported. "Standard radio communications at full power trigger immediate investigative response. Backup generator activation brings entities to within 200 meters of the base perimeter." Ivy had documented the correlation with mathematical precision. Creatures respond to EM signatures above 2.4 GHz with approach behavior. Below that threshold, no response detected. They're hunting electromagnetic emissions like homing signals. The tactical intelligence was crucial. Every piece of electronic equipment, every communication transmission, every power system activation created a signature that attracted creature attention. Our survival had depended on minimal power consumption, but now we understood why. Mavis coordinated new operational protocols. All non-essential electronics offline during surveillance periods. Communications limited to predetermined schedules during feeding cycles only. Detection equipment reconfigured for passive operation. The implications extended beyond our base. Every naval installation, every submarine, every communication relay in the Pacific was broadcasting electromagnetic signatures that functioned as location beacons for the creatures. The entities weren't just hunting randomly. They were tracking human technology through its electronic emissions. 0419 hours, nuclear correlation analysis. The breakthrough in understanding creature behavior came from analyzing oceanographic data dating back to the first reported nuclear submarine detonations. The correlation was undeniable. Deep ocean temperature records show systematic anomalies beginning 72 hours after the initial nuclear events. I documented. Thermal signatures consistent with massive biological activity at depths between 8,000 and 12,000 feet. Tate had recovered archived communications from the nuclear submarine incidents. USS Leviathan reported unprecedented sonar contacts 6 hours before the first detonation. They described entities of impossible size at extreme depths. The picture was becoming clear. The creatures had existed in deep ocean trenches, possibly in dormant states, until nuclear detonations had triggered their awakening. The electromagnetic signatures of human technology had then provided navigation beacons for entities adapted to environments where electromagnetic activity was previously minimal. Bennett calculated the timeline. First nuclear detonation to first surface breach, 127 hours. Consistent with ascent time from maximum recorded ocean depths to surface zones. Ivy's analysis of creature movement patterns supported the hypothesis. Entity migration routes follow thermal layers and electromagnetic signatures. They're using human technology emissions as navigation aids to locate surface installations. 0456 hours, subsonic communication discovery. The most significant tactical discovery came from Ivy's analysis of low-frequency acoustic data recorded during creature surveillance periods. The entities were communicating through subsonic frequencies below the range of standard detection equipment. Frequency range between 8 and 14 Hz, Ivy reported. Complex modulation patterns suggest sophisticated information exchange. Communication occurs continuously during surveillance operations. The subsonic communication network explained the creatures' coordinated behavior across vast distances. They weren't operating as individual hunters. They were functioning as elements of a distributed intelligence network sharing tactical information in real time. Mavis reviewed the tactical implications. If we can disrupt their communication frequency, we can break their coordination. Ivy had already begun modifications to the detection array. Theoretical possibility of generating interference patterns in the 8 to 14 Hz range would require significant power output and precise frequency modulation. Bennett assessed power requirements. Emergency generator at full output could maintain subsonic interference for approximately 30 minutes. Single-use capability would exhaust our remaining fuel reserves. The tactical option was clear but costly. We could potentially disrupt creature coordination, but only once, and the power expenditure would eliminate our long-term operational capability. 0534 hours, vulnerability assessment. Pearl Harbor's transmission provided crucial confirmation of creature vulnerabilities discovered through tactical analysis. Commander Walsh reports successful test of subsonic interference during feeding cycle. Tate relayed. Creatures exhibited disorientation behavior, broke formation, ceased coordinated activities for duration of interference. The tactical intelligence was confirmed across multiple installations. The creature's coordination depended on continuous subsonic communication. Disruption of that communication network created temporary tactical opportunities. Ivy calculated optimal interference parameters. Maximum effectiveness requires 12.7 Hz base frequency with variable modulation. Power output sufficient to broadcast across 2-kilometer radius. Duration capability, 28 minutes at full power. Bennett reviewed resource requirements. Implementation would consume all remaining fuel reserves. Emergency power systems would be offline following interference operations. Base would operate on battery backup only. The tactical equation was straightforward. We could break creature coordination long enough to potentially eliminate surveillance entities, but the power expenditure would leave us operating on minimal systems with no margin for extended operations. Mavis coordinated tactical planning. Subsonic interference represents single-use tactical advantage. Must be coordinated with maximum effectiveness protocols to justify resource expenditure. 0612 hours, feeding cycle exploitation. The 47-minute feeding cycle pattern provided a tactical window, but analysis revealed additional opportunities during the creature's predation activities. During feeding operations, creatures exhibit reduced response to electromagnetic signatures. I documented. Standard communication equipment activation during feeding cycles produces no investigative behavior. Bennett tested the hypothesis by activating full communications array during the 0547 feeding cycle. No creature response to maximum EM output during feeding period. Entities remain focused on predation activities. The tactical advantage was significant. During feeding cycles, we could operate equipment at full capacity, conduct communications, and potentially implement countermeasures without triggering creature attention. Ivy monitored the feeding behavior through passive sonar. Predation events occur at depths between 1,000 and 2,000 feet. Duration suggests creatures require substantial energy consumption to maintain surveillance operations. The biological requirements of the creatures created predictable tactical opportunities. Every 47 minutes, we had an 11-minute window of reduced surveillance and electromagnetic immunity. 0648 hours, tactical synthesis. Combining all intelligence gathered over 72 hours of systematic observation, the tactical picture was complete. The creatures were ancient apex predators awakened by nuclear detonations, using electromagnetic signatures to navigate to surface installations. They operated through distributed intelligence using subsonic communication networks. Their biological requirements created predictable vulnerabilities during feeding cycles. Mavis coordinated the tactical assessment. Confirmed vulnerabilities, subsonic communication disruption, feeding cycle windows, electromagnetic signature management. Available countermeasures, frequency interference, tactical timing, reduced EM emissions. Bennett calculated implementation requirements. Subsonic interference weapon, feasible using modified generator output. Optimal deployment, during feeding cycle initiation to maximize disorientation effect. Resource cost, total fuel reserves. Ivy provided technical specifications. Interference system requires precision frequency modulation and maximum power output. Effective range, 2 kilometers. Estimated impact duration, 15 to 20 minutes of creature disorientation. Tate confirmed coordination capabilities. Pearl Harbor and remaining installations report identical tactical intelligence. Coordinated interference operations possible during synchronized feeding cycles. 0715 hours, tactical decision point. The intelligence gathering phase was complete. We understood creature behavior patterns, communication methods, biological requirements, and confirmed vulnerabilities. The tactical options were defined with mathematical precision. Option 1. Maintain current defensive posture using feeding cycle windows for essential operations. Resources adequate for 23 additional days. Risk level minimal. Tactical advantage none. Option 2. Implement subsonic interference weapon to disrupt creature coordination. Single-use capability requiring total fuel reserves. Potential tactical advantage. Elimination of surveillance entities during disorientation period. Mavis reviewed the tactical calculation. Current position is sustainable, but offers no resolution. Interference weapon provides tactical opportunity, but eliminates long-term operational capability. Bennett assessed the strategic situation. Creature intelligence demonstrates adaptation capability. Current surveillance pattern may evolve to eliminate feeding cycle vulnerabilities. Tactical advantage may be temporary. The decision matrix was clear. We could maintain defensive operations using current intelligence, or expend our resources on a single tactical operation with potential for significant advantage, but guaranteed reduction in long-term survivability. Ivy completed the technical preparations. Subsonic interference system operational. Frequency modulation calibrated for maximum effectiveness. Power systems configured for 30-minute maximum output. The next feeding cycle would begin in 23 minutes. Implementation of countermeasures required immediate decision and commitment of all remaining resources. In the hardened command center, 5 personnel reviewed tactical intelligence that had transformed our understanding of the threat. The creatures were not random predators, but ancient intelligences using human technology against us. Their coordination was their strength, but it was also their vulnerability. The tactical advantage was available. The question was whether the potential gain justified the certain cost. 0738 hours, operational decision. Mavis coordinated the final tactical assessment. All available intelligence indicates subsonic interference represents optimal tactical opportunity. Feeding cycle begins in 9 minutes. Implementation window closes in 6 minutes. Bennett confirmed resource commitment. All fuel reserves allocated to 30-minute maximum power output. Post-operation status, battery backup only, 18-hour operational capability. Ivy activated the modified interference system. Subsonic weapon operational. Targeting 12.7 Hz base frequency with variable modulation. Effective range confirmed, 2 kilometers. Tate coordinated with remaining network installations. Pearl Harbor confirms simultaneous implementation. Coordinated interference operations across all remaining Pacific installations. The tactical decision was made. At 0747 hours, during the next feeding cycle, we would implement the subsonic interference weapon and attempt to break creature coordination across the Pacific theater. The creatures had demonstrated intelligence, adaptation, and coordination. Now we would test whether human tactical innovation could overcome ancient predatory advantages. 30 minutes of maximum power output. One opportunity to break their surveillance network. All remaining resources committed to a single tactical gamble. The feeding cycle alarm indicated 4 minutes to implementation. End report, day 15. Next assessment, post-operation. Resource status, committed. Threat level, maximum. Tactical status, implementation phase. Final pre-operation transmission. All intelligence gathered. Countermeasures prepared. Implementing subsonic interference during next feeding cycle. Tactical advantage confirmed, but costly. Will advise results. Naval Base Operations Log, Day 23. Classification, Tactical Immediate. Reporting Officer, Specialist Isolde Finch, Oceanographic Analysis. 0347 hours, Detection Array Alert. Ivy's modified sonar array detected coordinated movement patterns 2.3 kilometers offshore. 3 massive signatures approaching in formation. Behavior analysis confirms pack hunting protocol. Creature Alpha measured at 847 meters length. Creature Beta at 623 meters. Creature Gamma at 701 meters. All signatures exhibiting the synchronized subsonic communication pattern Ivy identified during feeding cycle analysis. They're coming for the generator, Ivy reported from her position at the detection console. The electromagnetic signature is drawing them directly to the hardened section. Bennett confirmed our tactical position from the emergency cache. Frequency weapon has sufficient power reserves for one 30-second disruption burst. After that, we're operating on backup power only. Mavis activated final defense protocols. Pearl Harbor confirms similar coordinated assault patterns at their location. Creatures are adapting. They've learned to target our power sources. The base's reinforced structure groaned as something massive scraped against the outer hull. Emergency lighting flickered as the electromagnetic field fluctuated. 0352 hours, perimeter breach. Creature Alpha's appendage penetrated the outer dock structure, causing catastrophic decompression in sections 4 through 7. Bennett's emergency sealing protocols held blast doors engaged automatically, containing the breach to non-critical areas. Structural integrity at 67% and declining, Tate reported from the communication station. Pearl Harbor reports similar penetration patterns. They're probing for weak points systematically. Ivy tracked the creature's positioning through the detection grid. They're not random strikes. Each impact tests a different structural stress point. Alpha is testing the main supports, Beta is probing the power conduits, Gamma is targeting the communication array. The subsonic frequency intensified, creating harmonic resonance through the base structure. Equipment secured according to EM silent protocols remained functional, but unsecured electronics began failing systematically. Mavis coordinated tactical response from the command center. Frequency weapon deployment in T-8 minutes. All personnel to designated positions for disruption protocol. 0358 hours, coordinated assault initiation. All three creatures struck simultaneously at calculated structural points. The base's foundation shifted 1.7 meters, causing secondary system failures throughout the facility. Bennett's resource management protocols prevented critical supply loss, but water filtration systems suffered damage requiring immediate repair. They're learning our defensive patterns, I observed, analyzing the attack coordination through sonar data. Each strike targets systems we've used to repel previous approaches. Tate maintained communication with Pearl Harbor through hardened channels. Pearl Harbor reports successful frequency disruption delayed their assault by 47 minutes, recommending immediate deployment of our system. Ivy prepared the subsonic disruption array. Frequency weapon charged to maximum capacity. Single burst duration, 31 seconds. Targeting the alpha creature's communication organ based on anatomical analysis. The creature's coordinated movement patterns indicated they were preparing for a final penetration attempt. Structural analysis showed the base could withstand approximately 12 more minutes of systematic assault before critical failure. 0403 hours, frequency weapon deployment. Mavis initiated the disruption sequence. Frequency weapon deployment authorized. All personnel maintain EM silent protocols during discharge. Ivy activated the subsonic array, targeting the specific frequency that disrupted creature coordination. The weapon discharged for the full 31 seconds, creating harmonic interference patterns throughout the surrounding water. Effect was immediate and decisive. All three creatures ceased coordinated movement, their synchronized communication patterns disrupted completely. Creature Alpha's massive form went dormant, appendages withdrawing from the base structure. Creatures Beta and Gamma exhibited disoriented movement patterns, circling randomly rather than maintaining tactical positions. Disruption successful, Ivy reported. Creatures exhibit complete loss of pack coordination. Individual movement patterns indicate confusion and retreat behavior. Bennett monitored power systems during the discharge. Frequency weapon depleted primary power, reserves as calculated. Backup systems engaged, maintaining life support and critical detection arrays. The harmonic resonance ceased, and the base structure stabilized. Emergency repairs could be implemented during the creature's disorientation period. 0407 hours, tactical advantage established. Creature behavioral analysis confirmed the frequency disruption broke their pack hunting protocol. Individual creatures demonstrated significantly reduced threat capability without coordinated tactics. They're functioning as separate entities now. I analyzed through the sonar data. No synchronized movement, no tactical positioning. Alpha is retreating to deep water, Beta and Gamma are maintaining distance, but showing no aggressive behavior. Mavis coordinated immediate tactical response. Structural repair teams to breach points. Bennett, implement emergency resource conservation. We need to maintain this tactical advantage. Tate relayed success confirmation to Pearl Harbor. Base 1 reports successful frequency weapon deployment. Creatures dispersed, coordination broken. Recommend immediate implementation of your disruption protocol. Ivy maintained detection array monitoring. Subsonic communication patterns remain disrupted. Creatures are reverting to individual territorial behavior rather than pack hunting. Threat level reduced from coordinated assault to individual defensive posturing. The frequency weapon required 72 hours to recharge, but creature behavior analysis indicated they would not attempt coordinated assault again within that time frame. Their pack hunting instinct appeared permanently disrupted by the subsonic interference. 0415 hours, secure position established. Bennett completed structural assessment using emergency protocols. Outer hull breach contained, water filtration systems operational at 73% capacity, emergency food reserves sufficient for 45 days with current rationing protocols. Mavis established ongoing tactical procedures. Base remains operational under siege conditions. Frequency weapon proven effective against creature coordination. Recommend preparation for individual creature encounters rather than pack assaults. Tate confirmed communication network stability. Pearl Harbor reports successful implementation of our frequency disruption data. 2 additional Pacific bases requesting technical specifications for weapon construction. Ivy configured permanent monitoring protocols. Detection array optimized for individual creature tracking. Can provide advance warning for any approaching threats, but coordinated assault capability appears eliminated. The base had achieved tactical superiority through technical innovation and coordinated resource management. The creatures remained a threat, but their tactical advantage had been neutralized through precise application of oceanographic knowledge and electronic warfare techniques. 0423 hours, operational status confirmed. Tactical assessment, base secured through successful frequency weapon deployment. Creature pack coordination permanently disrupted. Individual threats manageable through existing defense protocols. Resource status, emergency supplies adequate for extended operations. Water filtration at 73% capacity, power systems on backup reserves, structural integrity sufficient for ongoing habitation. Personnel status, all team members operational and maintaining assigned duties. Technical expertise proved decisive in establishing tactical advantage. Communication status, network maintained with Pearl Harbor and expanding to additional surviving installations. Technical knowledge transfer in progress. Threat assessment, creatures present but operating individually rather than as coordinated pack. Threat level reduced from maximum to manageable. Frequency weapon recharge required before next coordinated assault possible. The Leviathans had been contained through tactical innovation rather than eliminated through force. Our operational advantage depended on maintaining technical superiority and resource discipline. But the creatures were still out there, and they were learning. End report, Specialist Isolde Finch. Next log entry, 0800 hours, operational status review. Naval Base Operations Log, Day 47. Classification, Operational Status. Reporting Officer, Specialist Isolde Finch, Oceanographic Analysis. 0800 hours, established operational procedures. 24 days have passed since successful frequency weapon deployment. The base operates under permanent siege protocols with documented procedures for all essential functions. Creature activity patterns have stabilized into predictable territorial behaviors rather than coordinated assault tactics. Bennett established sustainable resource management protocols that maintain operational capacity indefinitely. Water filtration restored to 89% efficiency through component salvage from damaged sections. Emergency food reserves calculated for 127 days with current consumption rates. Parts inventory adequate for critical system maintenance through next scheduled supply delivery. Ivy maintains the detection grid using optimized power consumption protocols. Individual creature tracking operational 24/7. Alpha creature established territory 3.2 kilometers offshore. Beta maintains 4.7 kilometer range. Gamma patrols northern perimeter at 2.9 kilometer average distance. No coordinated movement detected since disruption event. The frequency weapon completed its 72-hour recharge cycle and now maintains constant readiness status. Analysis indicates individual creatures pose minimal threat to base integrity compared to previous pack hunting behavior. 0815 hours, communication network status. Tate established permanent communication schedules with surviving Pacific installations. Pearl Harbor confirms similar operational status. Creatures contained through frequency disruption, base functioning under siege protocols. USS Hawaii reports successful weapon construction using our technical specifications. Total Pacific Network, 7 operational installations maintaining contact. Communication protocols adapted to creature behavioral patterns ensure reliable information exchange. Daily status reports at 0800, 1400, and 2000 hours maintain tactical coordination across the network. San Diego Naval Base requested technical consultation for creature penetration repair. Tate reported. Their structural damage exceeded our breach parameters, but our sealing protocols proved applicable to their situation. Mavis coordinates inter-base tactical information sharing. Network intelligence confirms creatures exhibit identical individual territorial behavior patterns across all locations. No coordinated activity detected between separate creature populations. Pack hunting capability appears permanently disrupted by frequency weapon deployment. The communication network provides strategic advantage through shared technical knowledge and coordinated resource management between surviving installations. 0830 hours, technical system maintenance. Ivy completed weekly optimization of detection and defensive systems. Sonar array calibrated for individual creature monitoring. Detection range maintained at 8.2 kilometers maximum, sufficient for advance warning of any territorial incursions. Frequency weapon systems tested and verified operational. Technical expertise developed during the crisis now maintains operational advantage through systematic equipment management. Modified sonar configurations provide superior creature tracking compared to standard naval detection systems. Backup frequency generator construction 67% complete using salvaged components. Ivy continued. Secondary weapon capability will provide redundancy for defensive operations. Estimated completion, 14 days with current resource allocation. Bennett manages technical resource allocation to ensure continued system functionality. Component inventory tracking indicates sustainable maintenance capability for primary systems. Secondary projects approved based on resource surplus calculations. The base's technical capabilities now exceed pre-crisis specifications through adaptive equipment modification and resource optimization. 0845 hours, territorial monitoring analysis. Individual creature behavioral analysis provides tactical intelligence for ongoing operations. Each creature maintains distinct territorial patterns that enable prediction of movement and activity cycles. Alpha creature demonstrates 6.7-hour patrol cycle with feeding behavior every 23.4 hours, documented through systematic observation. Beta exhibits more erratic movement, but maintains consistent 4.7-kilometer boundary. Gamma shows aggressive territorial response to mechanical vibrations, but ignores electromagnetic signatures. This behavioral intelligence enables safe execution of external operations including structural repair, supply recovery, and equipment maintenance. Understanding individual creature territoriality provides operational windows for necessary activities. Mavis incorporates creature behavioral data into operational planning. External maintenance scheduled during Alpha's deep water feeding cycle. Supply recovery operations planned for Beta's dormant period. Communication array repairs coordinated with Gamma's northern patrol pattern. Systematic creature monitoring transformed the threat from unpredictable danger to manageable operational constraint. 0900 hours, supply chain assessment. The next scheduled supply delivery will not arrive for 6 months, requiring complete operational self-sufficiency until external resupply becomes possible. Current resource management protocols ensure sustainability through the extended isolation period. Bennett completed comprehensive inventory analysis. Food reserves sufficient for 127 days at current consumption, water filtration maintaining 89% capacity, fuel reserves adequate for 89 days of full power operations. Emergency rationing protocols can extend all resources by 34% if required. Component salvage operations recovered essential materials from damaged base sections. Structural materials salvaged from compromised areas provide sufficient resources for ongoing maintenance and defensive improvements. Electronics recovery enables backup system construction and redundancy implementation. Equipment modification using available resources maintains tactical advantage over individual creature threats. Frequency weapon components sourced entirely from base inventory. Secondary weapon construction demonstrates complete operational independence from external supply chains. The base achieved resource independence through systematic salvage, conservation, and adaptive management protocols. 0915 hours, ongoing vigilance protocols. Permanent operational procedures ensure continuous monitoring and response capability for creature activity. 24-hour watch schedules maintain situational awareness and tactical readiness. Detection array monitoring maintained through rotating 8-hour shifts, Ivy reported. Communication network checks every 4 hours. Frequency weapon readiness verified twice daily. Emergency response procedures practiced weekly. Mavis established tactical response protocols for various threat scenarios. Individual creature territorial incursion procedures documented and practiced. Coordinated assault response protocols maintained despite low probability assessment. Equipment failure contingency plans verified and updated. The operational routine provides security through systematic threat management and resource conservation. Each team member maintains specialized expertise while contributing to overall base functionality. Tate monitors communication channels for tactical intelligence updates. Network reports indicate creature activity patterns remain stable across all installations. No coordinated behavior detected. Technical knowledge sharing continues to improve defensive capabilities. 0930 hours, threat assessment summary. Current threat level, manageable ongoing operational constraint. Individual creatures maintain territorial behavior patterns that pose minimal risk to base integrity when properly managed. Frequency weapon provides decisive tactical advantage if coordinated assault capability resurfaces. Detection systems enable advanced warning and tactical response for any changes in creature behavior. Creatures remain active but predictable, I concluded through systematic analysis. Their individual territorial behavior creates operational constraints rather than existential threats. Proper scheduling and monitoring enable safe execution of all necessary base functions. The base maintains tactical superiority through technical innovation, systematic resource management, and coordinated operational procedures. The situation requires ongoing vigilance, but does not threaten long-term survival. Bennett confirmed sustainable operational capacity. Resource management protocols ensure indefinite base functionality independent of external supply chains. Technical capabilities enable equipment maintenance and defensive system optimization. 0945 hours, operational status conclusion. Base status, fully operational under siege conditions. All critical systems functional and maintained through internal resource management. Threat status, individual creatures contained through territorial behavior patterns and frequency weapon deterrent capability. Coordinated assault capability eliminated. Resource status, sustainable indefinitely through established conservation and salvage protocols. Next supply delivery in 6 months manageable with current reserves. Personnel status, all team members operational and maintaining specialized functions. Technical expertise provides ongoing tactical advantage. Communication status, network coordination with 7 Pacific installations. Technical knowledge sharing and tactical intelligence maintained. Strategic assessment, base achieved operational independence and tactical superiority over creature threats. Situation stabilized into manageable long-term operational procedures. The Leviathans changed the rules of oceanic operations permanently, but through systematic adaptation, technical innovation, and coordinated resource management, we established operational procedures that enable survival and functionality in the new tactical environment. The creatures are still out there. We are still here. Operations continue. End report, Specialist Isolde Finch. Next supply delivery, estimated day 227. Operational status, sustainable ongoing vigilance.